everybody, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm just in the mood to yap about knitting to anyone that'll listen. I want to talk about some of the projects that I made recently and what I'm working on now, as well as show you a big yarn haul because I have been shopping. But first I want to say just a massive thank you for the support that this little channel has received over the past few weeks. I put my first video up I think about 3 weeks ago and I can't believe how many people have watched it. I'm overwhelmed by the support and all the really lovely comments. I appreciate it so much, so thank you. I was a bit worried about making YouTube videos about a craft that I'm such a beginner in. I only really started taking knitting seriously at the start of this year, around the same time that I started watching knitting YouTube actually. So I'm a complete beginner. I don't really know what I'm doing, and it's nice that everyone's so welcoming to me. I'm really excited to share some more project vlogs with you and what I continue to craft. And yeah, thank you for so much for welcoming to this community. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to the knits. What should we start with? So because this is my first knitting podcast, I'm gonna backdate my finished projects to about 2 months ago, mainly because I really want to talk about the top that I made 2 months ago, and then we can go from there. Also, this is maybe the least aesthetically pleasing mug that I own. It's Christmas themed, but I have so many pretty mugs, but this just holds the perfect amount of tea. This is exactly how much tea I want, not a centimetre less or a centimetre more. This is it. Right. This is my Lana Del Rey tank top. This is completely inspired by a girl on TikTok who made a Lana Del Rey sweater, and I saw that about a year ago, and it's the reason that I started knitting. I saw that sweater and I thought, wow, I really want to get good enough at knitting that I can make that. And then I started my first real sweater in earnest about that time, and then I finished that, and then I really started ramping up the knitting. So thank you to her for my new favourite hobby, I guess. Have you guys seen that Instagram page that does the knitting memes? And there's one that's like, thank you for saving my life. And then the knitting's just like, I'm literally just a ball and some sticks. For real. Anyway, so Lana Del Rey is my favourite singer, artist, whatever. She's been my Spotify Artist of the Year, Artist of the Decade ever since they started doing it. I love her. I've loved her for the last decade. You know how the girls feel about Taylor Swift? That's how I feel about Lana Del Rey. So I got a ticket to see her live for the first time at Primavera Porto in June, and when I bought the ticket I thought this is the excuse I need to make my own little merch to go see her. But of course it was Portugal in June, so I didn't want to make a sweater or even a top that has a back. Spoiler alert, this is the back. So I was looking online for patterns that I could use to wear for ages, and I came across this pattern which is called the Tie Tank pattern by Hannah Singleton, I believe, and I think I just found it on Ravelry, and it looks exactly like what I wanted because I needed a tank top that was pretty high necked and basic and stockinette so that I could do this detail on the front, and I wanted something that I could survive European summer in. So the open back was a thumbs up from me, so I went for this. This is my first time doing any sort of intarsia or collar work. I don't even know if intarsia is the right method to call what I've done here. Maybe anyone that's more of an expert can tell me. Basically, this tank top's worked bottom up, so you start off with basically just a big rectangle and then you work yourself up. I did some maths to figure out where the pattern would end so I could figure out when to start the colour work. For the design I found a free, I think it's called an alpha pattern, from a website called Bracelet Book. Someone else had made it, and in the pattern it said how many stitches across you would need. So I figured out, oh, I've got about 70 or 80 stitches here. This is about a 50 stitch pattern. For the colour work, I just sort of winged it. I didn't even look up a tutorial. I just thought, oh well, it's saying to make colour in this square, so I'm going to count across the squares and then knit that square with a different colour. I've got quite long spindly bits on the back here, but overall I'd say I did an alright job of that for a first attempt. I'm really proud of how the logo turned out. It was so satisfying to work up because you could just see it slowly appear. I think this took me about 2 weeks in total to knit, but a majority of that was working on this colour work because I was looking off my phone at the tiny little boxes and I was checking off each box one by one as I knit each colour. The rest of the tank top, you just sort of work some increases and decreases on the sleeves and then you knit back down and then seam these together and then join at the back to make this tie. It's a pretty simple construction, it's pretty easy construction. The pattern itself was easy to follow, had no issues with it. But when I finished it, I did realise that I'd made it a bit too short for my liking because I wanted to wear some low-rise trousers with it and it was very, very cropped. So I ended up simply knitting another panel with my yarn and garter stitching, I believe the name of the stitch is, it onto the bottom. I don't know if I can show you. You can see that there is a seam. Oh wait, oh, you can see it at the front actually. You can see that there's a seam at the bottom where I've joined them together. So it's not perfect work, but honestly, like from far away, I don't think you can tell that I've just added on a little panel at the bottom here, and that made it a really good length for me. So I wore this to see Lana at Primavera, and I also wore it around Porto the full day before the concert. And honestly, it was really good to wear. I was a little bit worried because literally the only thing holding it together is a tie at the back, about potentially it coming loose or not feeling very secure. But I think I only had to retie it once. Like I did a double knot at the back and I felt completely secure, was completely fine all day. It was really good to wear. However, the one thing I'll say about the design of this top is that I don't think it's very flattering for my personal body. I do weightlifting, I've done weightlifting for about 5 years and I've got a big strong back, which I'm very proud of, but it's there, and some strappy back tops or backless tops make my back look really good and I feel really confident in how they make me look, and some strappy backless tops just don't. And I'm afraid that this falls into the latter group. I don't really like how it looks on my body from the back, so I don't think that this is going to be something that I wear a lot more unless I go to like another Lana event, in which case there's no better option for what I can wear. Because of that, I do still want to make the Lana Del Rey sweater. I think I will still make the Lana Del Rey sweater probably pretty soon because I really enjoyed doing this in Tarsia or whatever it is. For the yarn, I knitted this up in Drops Bell. Oh, I should have mentioned this is a DK weight pattern, which is probably why it was so quick to knit, and another reason that I chose it, because I knew that a fingering weight pattern would take forever. Let me get the yarn I used actually, because I have it here. So this is Drops Bell. This is a 53% cotton, 33% viscose and 14% linen yarn. And DK weight. I use the colour 26 for the white and the blue is colour 15. I bought 4 balls of the white and 2 balls of the blue, and as you can see I used up 3 balls of the white and 1 of the blue with a little bit to spare as well. This yarn's £1.80 per ball, so this was a really cost-effective project and I loved knitting in this. I also loved wearing this fabric. It was not sweaty at all, and it's actually been through the machine, the washing machine. Which machine? The washing machine. It came out great, like not a single issue, completely machine washable, no changes with blocking, nice to knit up with. One bad thing about this is the bad colour range, but for £1.80 per ball, I think it's absolutely amazing yarn. 10 out of 10, I would recommend this. Oh, one last thing about this. I have a TikTok of the making of this. If you're interested in that, I'll link it in the description. The second finished object you might already know about because this was my first project vlog. This is My Favourite Things Knitwear cardigan number 9. This is knit up in Drops brushed alpaca silk. It's been a few weeks since I've completed this. This is a cardigan that's knit with a saddle shoulder, and then you go into the body and the arms for there with a nice ribbing detail. The original design has buttons or toggles in the middle, but because I knitted this out of such a light fabric, I just went for a little bow at the front. It looks a little bit creased actually because it's been crumpled up in a corner of my wardrobe, but I have worn this quite a lot so far. It's really, really nice to wear, and it's the perfect type of fabric for a Scottish summer. I think it is stretching out a little bit in the arms already, but I think that's all right for this kind of cardigan because the length that it is already, like, it's kind of a little bit snuggly, and having longer arms I think kind of works in its favour. I think I used just under 5 skeins of the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk for this, and I think that totals about £2.50 or £3 per bowl. So yeah, this cost me about £13 or £14 in materials, and I'm really, really happy with it. I've worn it a lot. I think I will continue to wear it. It's such a lovely, happy, fun colour, and it goes so well with blue denim and a white t-shirt or a skirt as well. I think I've worn it with my white maxi skirt. That's looked great too. So yeah, this is definitely a success story. This is kind of impossible to show you on the hanger. I'll have to hold it up. Can you see that? I mean, you've probably already seen it. I also did a project vlog of this finished piece. This is the Mermaid crochet top by Earth by Morg, and I've added some beading details onto the cups here. This is one of my very first crochet projects. It's crocheted up, I keep wanting to say knit up, so apologies if I do. It's crocheted up with 2.5mm hook for the cups, and then it goes to a 6.5mm hook to do the ruffles at the bottom. I made this to wear to a festival last week, which I did do, and I styled it with some white linen low-rise trousers and a little red bag. Again, you can look at my project vlog if you want to see the construction of this in further detail, but this was knit up in Søsteren Gren fingering weight cotton yarn. I bought 3 balls of it, and this is how much I have left. It was good yarn to work with. Obviously with cotton there's no stretch, but I really like the shade and the material is great. I think if I hadn't added all these beaded decals on, it would be machine washable. I think maybe this is the best way to show you. Yeah. So yeah, I wore this to the festival, wore it all day that day. I did feel a little bit insecure at times because it's literally just held together with this piece of string, and I felt like I was constantly looking down and adjusting and making sure that everything was in place. We went to see Example, so it was a lot of a lot of heavy movement. I'd lost one of the decals, unfortunately. Luckily it wasn't either of the big ones, but I actually put lots of time into. But yeah, it stayed in place all day. This one little tie was doing a lot of heavy lifting. But yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I think I could probably find reason to wear it again. Maybe as a beach top, on top of a bikini or something. And this is actually the last finished object I have to talk about. Right, let's move on to my works in progress. The first one I want to talk about is a project from Wool and the Gang. This was actually a Christmas present, right as I was on the cusp of getting really into knitting. And it's for the Little Lies sweater, which is going to look like this. I cast this on, I think, at the end of January, as I'd finished my first ever sweater. I then went on holiday for like 6 weeks around Southeast Asia, and then I came back and the weather had already heated up, so it was already too hot to wear a chunky wool sweater. So it's kind of been a back burner project that I pick up and I work a little bit on as and when. It's a sweater that's knitted up with a front panel, a back panel, and then 2 sleeves separately, so it's really good to travel with. And the yarn is such a joy to knit with. It's so soft. So I'm quite happy this just being a project that I work on really slowly, like in between other projects or when I want to take something traveling with me, because I'm really enjoying the process and I don't want to wear this garment anytime soon, so there's no point in me rushing it. So far I have this front piece. I did the colour work on this, and then I realised that I think I messed it up, but I wasn't 100% sure that I messed it up. So I put it on some scrap yarn and I thought, oh, I'll do the back panel, I'll see if the stitches are the same, and then if they are the same, I'll just continue on, and if they're not the same, I'll frog it back. So I then did the back panel, back panel's completely finished and they are different, so I do need to frog this back a little bit and start again. I also completely did one sleeve, which I did in about a day and a half, so I'm really not worried about finishing this project quickly because I know that I could whack this out really quickly because it's such a nice thick chunky yarn and it's knitted up on 6.5mm needles, I think. And I think this is going to be such a nice basic sweater for winter when it's finished. This is the yarn. This is the Wool and the Gang Feeling Good yarn, which is 70% alpaca, 7% merino and 23% nylon. It is so soft. It is so gorgeous and soft. I love this yarn. This might be the best yarn that I've ever worked with, and I'm sure the sweater itself is going to be just as nice to wear. It's going to be so soft. And yeah, so I am the majority of the way through this, but I might not make any progress on this for a while. But that's that. Big pile of scraps. I would say if you're a beginner, these Wool and the Gang, I think I had one from We Are Knitters as well, these projects. They're really good if you're looking to start out. They're quite expensive, but the quality of the yarn is great. So, okay, moving on to my second work in progress, my second whip. Ooh, it's tangled in the tripod. Oh my god, no. Oh my god, if I move the tripod even a centimetre, it's trapped. Oh, it's so trapped. Okay, so sorry. This shot's gonna move. Or is it? Oh, maybe I can do some like Batman shit. Okay, good. Okay, moving on. This yarn you might have heard me talk about if you watched my summer knitting plans video. This is, wait, I've got the label, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. This is the Rico Design Creative Cotton Camouflage, 45% acrylic, 44% cotton, 11% polyamide, 200 grams, DK weight yarn in a really nice self-striping pink and green and orange colorway. I think it's colorway number 1. So I bought this ages ago. I bought this in April and I initially had the plan to knit a long sleeve blouse with this. I then thought I would crochet that festival top with it, but then I bought the festival top and it called for fingering weight yarn, so this kept sitting unused, and I'm not the type of person that likes having a yarn stash, so I wanted to use this up quite quickly, so I reverted back to the idea of creating a long sleeve top. I had a really lovely commenter recommend a pattern to me for that in my summer knitting plans video. I think they recommended, I think it was the Breezy long sleeve top by Kiss Kiss Rhinestone, which looks like such a lovely pattern, but for me the sleeves looked a bit too tight for what I wanted, so I ended up going with blouse number 1, which I've started work on. It's by My Favourite Things Knitwear, which is the same designer as my yellow cardigan, and it's a top down, look how gorgeous this self-striping yarn is. It's a top down pattern and I'm just at the point where I've split the sleeves and starting work on the body. It's all just in stockinette stitch. So yeah, this is about under a week's worth of progress. I haven't been like hammering it out the way I have my past few projects. I'm giving myself a little bit of a break. But these colours, I love them. I was a bit worried when I got this yarn because you can't really tell what self-striping yarn is going to look like. But I think this will go really well with my skin tone. I was also a bit worried about this blend because this is my first time working with such a high percentage of synthetic fibres, which in principle I don't like doing, but I was researching cotton yarns on the forums and everyone was saying don't work with 100% cotton yarn because it will stretch, like it's really heavy and your garments will end up really long, and I didn't want that, so I thought maybe with a bit of acrylic it would give my garment a bit more chance. This design has a boat neck and slightly flared sleeves. But back to the yarn, I only have one ball of this, right? And I went to see maybe obviously I would need more than 200 grams for an entire blouse. So I went back on the website where I bought this from and it's listed for £20, which is quite a lot of money, I thought, and I don't think I would have bought this for £20. I think I must have got it for half price. So I was thinking, oh, what do I want to do with the sleeves? And spoiler alert for the yarn haul, but I bought this yarn and I thought this is some brushed alpaca silk, which is the same yarn as the yellow cardigan once again, and I thought this could be a great combo if I make some like slightly sheer drapey floaty sleeves out of this really lovely peach colour. I think they're going to tie in together really well, so that's my plan. This for the body, hopefully this will be enough, I think it should be, and then I'm going to transition to make some floaty sleeves out of brushed alpaca silk. It will mean that this isn't machine washable anymore, but I get really scared putting anything that I make in the wash anyway, so yeah, this is my second whip. And yeah, the more I work this, the more I'm really excited to wear it because the stripes are so pretty. Oh, actually, I completely forgot to say, I've sized down on my needles from this. The pattern recommends 5mm needles for this, but I did my washed and blocked gauge swatches. Thank you, yeah, round of applause. And 5mm was just huge. It wasn't meeting gauge at all, but 4mm did, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, let's do yarn haul. Let's stop undressing ourselves. Actually, before I show you the yarn that I bought that is with me, I'm going to talk about the yarn that I bought that isn't yet, because I have bought 3 balls of the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the shade Red Currant, and it's not here yet. I'm going to knit the Handmade by Florence mixed rib cami with it, and I was hoping to have already started it to show you today, but I ordered it from the Knitting for Olive actual website, so it's getting shipped from Denmark, I believe, and although I ordered it about 2 weeks ago, it's still not here. However, I did save about £10 ordering it from the Knitting for Olive website as opposed to a UK seller, so you win some, you lose some. I was wondering if you want to see a project vlog for that, actually. It seems a bit too simplistic to make a YouTube video about it because I'm literally just gonna knit something to pattern with the yarn that the pattern recommends, so there's not much of my own personal flair, I don't know, to it. I don't know, maybe you get entertainment just from watching me do something and like go about my life, and not particularly that I'm adding something unique to the garment. So please let me know if you want to see that, because I may make it if there is demand for it. And let's move on to actually talking about some yarns. Is this really annoying? Sorry. Right, so I made 2 orders from Wool Warehouse. I like Wool Warehouse because they sell drops brushed alpaca silk. So in my first order, following on from the fact that I don't like having a yarn stash that I'm not going to imminently use, I wanted to buy some yarn to make a sort of sunset inspired ombre sweater. I think I talked about this in my summer knitting plans video as well, but I want to make a really nice sweater with 2 strands of brushed alpaca silk held together in some lovely like pink and orange colours. So I bought some yarns for that. I bought a bunch of colours and I ended up thinking that not all of them would go together, so I returned a few, and I also returned a few balls of Drops Belle because I ordered what I thought was the red shade to potentially make a little tank top out of, but then when it arrived it was more of a hot pink that I think just wouldn't suit me, so I sent that back. The returns process was great. And the yarns that I kept are these colours of Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk. I've also got the scraps from that cardigan in here that I may incorporate into the same sweater. So I bought 2 skeins of colour 31, I think this is called Hot Pink, isn't it gorgeous? 2 skeins of colour 29, which I think is Tangerine. Then 1 of colour number 8, 1 of colour number 22, and then also I bought this, I think this is called Sweet Apricot, this shade that I'm going to end up using for blouse number 1, colour 37. I love this yarn. It's so soft and the colours are so pretty. Oh, that's a thumbnail in it. About £2.50 each. I think I just made the £30 free delivery spend on Wool Warehouse until I sent the stuff back, but they didn't recharge me for the delivery, so that was really nice of them. And it all comes in this lovely organza bag. So that was order number 1. I then got carried away thinking about other projects that I want to make soon, and I also needed to buy some more of the brushed alpaca silk to replace the ones that I had sent back. So I made order number 2 right here, and I just got some more of the hot pink and another one of the tangerine, so hopefully I'll have a sweater quantity now for my lovely little sunrise sunset sweater that I still need to find a pattern for actually. I want to knit it on something like 6.5 or 7mm needles. So if you have like a favourite chunky sweater pattern, please let me know because I may well need it. I then got 2 more of the brushed alpaca sweet apricot, so I'll definitely have enough to make the sleeves for my blouse number 1. And then the rest of this, I kind of don't want to talk about too much because they're things that I want to make project vlogs on soon. They were all 4 projects I have in my head that I'll leave as a surprise, but I will still show you the yarn. This is dropped Lima. This is in colour 3609. This is a really nice DK weight wool and alpaca blend made in Peru. I got 3 skeins of the Sirdar Cashmere Merino silk, which is a DK weight. This feels so soft. It feels very, well, I'm gonna say silky, but that feels like it's such a given. But I think this is gonna have a lovely drape to it. And the pattern that I'm gonna knit from actually requires a worsted weight yarn. So to create the worsted weight yarn, I'm gonna knit this alongside this lace Malabrigo yarn. This is in the shade Natural and it is 100% baby merino wool. This is my first time having a ball of yarn like in this shape. This is a real skein, isn't it? This is what you mean when you say skein. I keep calling everything a skein, but this looks like an actual skein. This looks like something you need to wind around your knees. And yeah, this feels great. I think with holding this natural yarn together with this white colour is going to create a nice mottled effect, hopefully. I keep wanting to tell you what I'm going to make with this. It's going to ruin the surprise, but I'm going to do some colour work. And I needed worsted weight yarn for the colour work, and I just didn't want to spend too much money on wool that I'm just going to use a tiny little bit of. So I got 3 balls of Drops Alaska. This is colour number 45. This one is colour number 62. And this is colour number 57. This feels like the type of yarn that would be too itchy on my skin if I used in a large amount. This is just 100% wool, which I don't know if my extremely sensitive skin loves, but I'm gonna use it in a tiny amount, so it should be fine. And now I am truly just surrounded by balls of yarn, which is a great place to be. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you're creating, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.